where best friends and next-door neighbors, Willow and Lillian, spill the tea on murder, mysteries, and other things that go bump in the night. So get your favorite teacup ready, and let's get into it. Welcome to Cruelty Podcast. This is Lillian, and with me is Willow.
Hello.
I sounded pissed. Look, I'm on the rag, and I don't feel good. Allergies are bothering me.
Caliente.
I'm pissy. I'm not spicy. I'm too tired and fucked up to be spicy. So I'm just grumpy.
I'm getting over a cold that my kid got from preschool, and I sound a lot better than I did last week. That's a main reason why we didn't record last week, is because I was sick and
that's
gross.
not the main reason. It would have been.
Yeah, it's the good reason that we. Yeah.
So Mercury retrograde happened, as it always does.
Retrograding.
Yeah, it's microwaving really hard,
Yeah.
and it killed our audio interface, and those are not cheap.
Yeah,
But I bought another one.
because we have Patreons.
Because we have patrons. Thank you, patrons. If it weren't for you guys, the podcast would have been over.
Yeah.
Because I can't afford all the money that
Many
costs.
times over.
Yes. Actually, it's the only thing that keeps it afloat.
Yeah. Y'all, thank you.
It pays the hosting fees. It pays all the equipment, and not yet our time, but one day. One day.
Your love pays for our time.
Yes. And I feel it.
Yes.
Do I? I hope so.
Ew.
I feel something.
Ew,
Anyway, I want to let's announce next month's theme right now because I'm excited about it.
Yeah, we just came up with it
Just
on the
now.
spot just now, right before we hit record.
Yes, I'll let you do it.
Oh, okay.
Idiot.
It's so anticlimactic.
Just go.
It's notorious 90s.
Hell yeah.
Mm-hmm. I would like to disassociate to a time when groceries were affordable. And
so
was gas. Yeah, exactly.
98 cents a gallon when I started driving.
Right.
That was sexy.
I work at a vape shop now, and we just started selling cigarettes, and there's a pack of cigarettes there that are on sale for $2. And I was like, wow,
I'm gonna
it feels
smoke
like
'em.
the 90s.
Yeah, they were cheap back then. They were like
Yeah.
$2.50.
Yep.
Yeah, we're going to be covering things like O.J. Simpson, the Menendez brothers, stuff like that. You know, the cases from the 90s. Not Tupac, excuse me. I'm tired, girl. I can't. Because I already
Two-pack
covered
marbles.
that. I'm white. I can say it like that if I want.
Dear God.
Yeah. Anyway, well, I'm white appearing. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Just go.
Jesus
Just case.
Christ. Oh my goodness, y'all. It's been a fucking month.
We say this every
I
month.
know, but August was so long. Like,
it was long.
yeah,
It was
like,
hard. It was
went
hot.
April, May, June, July, August. Like, it just went by so quick, and then August.
And it was the hottest August of all time. I was just boiling in my own juices. It was so
Ew,
gross. I hate it.
Okay, well, you're gonna hate this episode.
Well, cool. I've got puppies.
Okay,
To look
good. This is gonna be a long one, so apologize in advance. Big trigger warnings all over. I'm gonna do my best not to go into any super graphic details, but there are so many victims. I don't even go over all of the victims in this case. I think I only go over a fraction of the victims in this case just because of time's sake, but it's a lot. So, trigger warnings for sexual assault, torture, dismemberment, descriptions of wounds, drug and alcohol use, and probably a lot of other triggers. It's rough. This is a rough one. So we're in the theme of double lives, right? So Andy Kraft was a forklift driver by day, a bartender at a gay bar by night, living in Southern California, later spending time on the road as a computer programmer. He was intelligent and a great conversationalist with lots of friends, highly regarded in his field. Little did anyone know, he was also a notorious serial killer running rampant up and down the California highways throughout the 70s and 80s, known to the press excuse me, as the Scoreboard Killer, the Southern California Strangler, and the Freeway Killer, sexually assaulting and torturing and killing anywhere from a confirmed 16 to upwards of over 60 young men and boys. Probably more.
My God.
Now we kind of think it's probably more in the hundreds range. It was a massacre. This was a massacre.
It just seems like that's all he did with his time.
But he didn't. He was a fucking computer programmer in the 80s, like the late 70s and early 80s.
They didn't have no chat GPT to help you out.
No, and the computers were warehouses. Like the whole building was the computer.
Mm-hmm.
And there wasn't any rule books on this. They're brand new.
Yeah.
So he was a next level genius, absolute next level genius. And it really baffles me, his kill count and his ability to do everything that he did. And, you know, with such a prevalent killer such as Randy, you would think that he had this horrible upbringing, but he didn't. He actually had quite the opposite. He was born in the spring of 1945 in Long Beach, California, the youngest of 4 and the only boy. He was everyone's favorite. His older sisters doted on him like he was their own little baby doll, his father's pride, his mother's baby. He was definitely a mama's boy. When he was 3, the family moved to Orange County, where he'd go to school. He was very bright and very intelligent. He excelled in all of his studies. He had lots of friends. He played the saxophone and he was on the tennis team when he was in high school. He graduated 10th in class in 1963. And for Randy at this point, life was good. He had everything. He had it made, and it kind of seemed like his life was going to be smooth sailing from here. He had a future paved for him. In the mid-60s, he studied economics at Claremont College, which is a very highly sought-after college that honestly seems really hard to get into. Right now, currently, they have an enrollment of only 2,000 students. Like, they're very picky when it comes to who they allow in. Whereas like an average school is about 5 to 10,000 students. Bigger schools go upwards in the 100,000s. But yeah, so this is, I mean, it's kind of elite, you know? It's kind of like a big deal to get into that school. And he once again excelled. He later tested with an IQ of 129.
Oh, mine's higher, but whatever.
I knew you would say that.
Yeah. My kid's is higher. My middle kid has a higher IQ than me.
I'm curious. I've never taken an IQ test. I've never had a reason why.
Well, can I say this real quick?
Yeah.
A little soapbox.
Yeah.
IQ tests are bullshit.
I know they are.
They are. And
I just want to know what number I get.
I don't think they measure accurately intelligence because they certainly don't measure emotional intelligence.
Right.
Which is still intelligence, so I'm not sure why we're degrading it.
It's one of the main fundamentals of intelligence, of actually like understanding
empathy
knowledge.
And being able to control your emotional responses are pretty important. You can be a real genius all day long, but then, you know, we're not murdering people and throwing them on a freeway.
Exactly.
So emotional intelligence is important. But middle kid is 172 and I am 159.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm smart.
You are.
I was in Mensa. Mensa's a scam, by the way. There's a whole podcast on it, and if you just Google Mensa scam podcast, you can listen to it because it's hilarious and fascinating. So that's my little bit.
Cool.
I'm gonna shut up.
There's no segue there, but
well, it's not like my smarts did me any good. I'm still a fucking dumbass.
You said I'm smart. Continue.
I'm smart. Anyway, bye.
So Randy's super smart too, apparently.
Yeah, anything over 100 is above average intelligence.
Okay.
Anything over 150 is genius. I just like being smarter than this asshole.
Yeah.
That's all.
Well, he is a piece of shit. So, yeah, he's very lively, very talkative, very friendly. He would do this thing where, like, in class, like, during lectures, he would actively engage with his professor. He would question. He would kind of counter-argue. He kind of, like, spiced up the lectures in a way that everybody really enjoyed him in class. His teachers enjoyed him in class. The other students enjoyed him. And this kind of gave him a little bit more of a personality amongst his peers. He somehow did it all. And I have no idea how he did this other than what I could assume later. He made time for school, friends. He partied. He had card nights, which he loved playing cards. He absolutely hated to lose. Apparently, it was a really big deal if he lost. He seemed to have it all. And one of his friends from college would later say, quote, "One thing about Randy was nobody remembers him sleeping." While enrolled in Claremont, he also joined the Reserve Officer Training Corps. At first, he was very adamant about sticking to his conservative upbringing and was very openly in favor of the Vietnam War. But just a year later, it would change. Now, he is at a very liberal college in the 60s during the Vietnam War. And he is actively, like, and when I say he's like conservative and pro-Vietnam, and then later he changes to Democrat and pro-JFK, like, I don't just mean like, oh, that's his opinion. No, like, he is like passing out flyers. He is doing the things to sign.
He went
up.
ham.
He is like in the what is it called when people?
Boy, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. You're making a weird hand motion and just looking real medically stupid.
Oh,
I don't know.
we're in the middle of an election year, and I'm like losing the word. When they it's not canvassing. When they go around and they're like getting ready for their party, for their
Just go.
whatever.
We're gone now.
He was in it. he was part of the political party and part of the movement. I'm sure there's listeners out there that are like, she's thinking of this word. Idiot can't find it. But yeah, so his final year of college, Randy's life started to take a turn for the bit, which is kind of expected for college students, but he takes it to a whole new level. He starts drinking more and more. He's gambling, he's doing drugs, and basically just falls off the rails a bit. It seems as though the religious and tight-laced upbringing that he had come from was something that he was actually trying to escape at this point. And like many queer kids who grow up in the church, when you're taught who you are is inherently wrong, you tend to go through this phase of doing all of the things that are wrong, that you know are wrong, to justify or kind of level out the playing field of you who it is inherently wrong. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? Like, you're told you as a person is wrong, so you start doing all these things that are worldly wrong as well. You know,
Yeah,
you start...
well, it's like when you call somebody who is telling the truth a liar enough times, they eventually just go, you know what, fuck it, I'm gonna lie.
Right. Like, I went through it as a kid. You know, a lot of really terrible things happened to me. I was, you know, labeled, you know, disgraced or whatever. And so I would do all of the disgraceful things that I could. It's like, if that made me a bad person, or if that made me wrong, then I'm going to drink.
Well, then I'm going to really do some wrong
this.
shit.
Yeah. And I feel like that's kind of what he was doing. I know a lot of us do that. But Randy was gay, and he didn't know how to handle it in his world. Like, it was the 60s, so sure, homosexuality in the 60s in California was thriving. Like, it was a time in history to be gay and queer and be in Southern California. And San Francisco was called the gay capital of 1964 by Life magazine. So that kind of gives you an idea of it, but we also have to understand that there is that polar opposite in society that actually is most of society. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it didn't become legal until 1974 in California. So at this point of time, him coming out as gay is dangerous.
Very.
I mean, it still is in many parts today, but it was extremely dangerous and against the law to do so.
Yep.
Now, he had tried to mask it. He, you know, dated girls in high school and whatnot, but by the time he was in college, he just couldn't hide it anymore. And in certain academic circles, it was still very controversial. It was very dangerous, obviously. I mean, look at the Kitty Genovese case. That was in 1964, I think. But luckily, Randy went to a liberal college. He was able to get, you know, comfortable opening up to his friends there that he had made, who were, you know, more liberal leaning and democratic. And so it kind of gave him that comfortable space to open up and become who he is and be open and proud and really live his gay life. And so, yeah, with that, he started partying and mingling and this kind of just became his new way of life. Now he's out, now he's queer, and now he's going to go to all these bars, he's going to go to all these parties and really, really live up the nightlife while also going to school. So yeah, his grades kind of fell back a little bit during this time. Now, this is also whenever he starts to switch from staunch conservative to Democratic, and he became a huge supporter of Robert Kennedy. And when he was later assassinated, this absolutely broke this man. Like, Randy was beyond devastated for JFK.
A lot of people were.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so he started to like get into the gay nightlife, the bar scene, and eventually became a bartender at one of the gay bars he frequented. His roommate said that he would, quote, go missing for a few times a week, coming home at odd hours, and then disappearing in between classes. He complained of stomach pain and headaches and took Valium to dull the pain. In 1966, Randy was arrested for lewd conduct after propositioning an undercover officer for sex, but was eventually let go with a warning. Now, because of his late nights out, he, fell behind with studies. He ended up having to retake one of his courses before he was able to eventually get his bachelor's degree in economics. After graduating college, Randy came out as gay to his parents. His dad completely lost it and refused to talk to him for a while. And obviously this really hurt him. The day after Kennedy's assassination, he enlisted in the U.S. Air Force in 1968, stationed in Edwards Air Force Base as an airman first class. So a lot of people will say Randy Kraft was a veteran. Technically, he scored very high on his aptitude test, and he won like a secret security clearance, which I'm not really sure what that means. I tried to look it up, but I couldn't find anything. But yeah, what he did in the Air Force, which everybody marveled at him for it, but he basically oversaw the painting of test planes.
Such a fucking lame job.
I mean, and I had
Can you
to
pay
really,
me for that?
I had to
I'll
really
do it.
look for this because, I watched a few documentaries. I read way more articles on this case than any other case than before, but it took several articles to find that he was what he actually did in the Air Force, because everyone called him, a Vietnam vet.
No,
he oversaw the painting of test planes. If you're ever gonna put,
I'm gonna shove somebody in a
in
locker.
the Air Force.
Right.
I don't know. I just found that little bit hilarious. So he didn't make it very long in the Air Force. He was discharged a year later in 1969 on quote unquote medical grounds because he came out as gay. Not an honorary discharge, like where you're injured or you actually need medical leave, but this is basically a general discharge, even though it says for medical reasons, if that makes sense. And obviously we know why they discharged him. He did try to object, but they wouldn't allow it. So he was sent home to go live with his parents, who now hate him because he's gay. So that didn't last long. He ended up getting a job at a few gay bars. He ended up, getting a place. He got a roommate. They found a place near Huntington Beach, and he got a job at the bar called The Mug. I just thought that was really cute. It's called The Mug. By now, it's 1970. Randy is 24 years old and basically living his best fucking life. He's partying. He's having sex with anyone and everyone he can. He's mostly hooking up late at night after the bar closes. He'll shut down the bar. Any stragglers that are left behind that want to hook up with him, he'll walk across the street to the ocean beach and fuck on the beach and then stumble home afterwards. Apparently this is what he did every single night. And what can I say? He fucking loved it. Apparently he made it through his day on a diet of speed and beer.
That's not a good diet.
No, and he was thin. He was very, very thin. Now apparently he preferred Marines. His roommate said, quote, Randy used to go away for a few days, come back and lock himself in the room for a couple more days. He'd go down to the Marine base. He wouldn't talk about it much, just mumble something about going down and looking for Marines. Friends said that at this time he was very violent and prone to anger and would, quote unquote, wig out of nowhere. And of course, they attributed this to his lack of sleep and use of speed. In 1971, he got a second job as a forklift driver at a water bottle plant company to pay his way through his next bit of schooling, where he went to Long Beach State University and got his teaching license. Now, during all this time, while he's at these two different universities and working his ass off, partying, having sex with all these different people, doing all these different things, he is also simultaneously learning computers. Computers are obviously brand fucking new at this point. Like we said, like the whole fucking houses. Like he starts diving into like his own side quest studies on computer tech, and he gets so good that he gets his teaching license, and now he's able to actually teach computer sciences to people at a time when all these businesses are trying to get on computers. You know what I mean? Like this is a very valuable job and line of work for him. He accelerated as a computer programmer. By 1980, he ended up working for an aerospace firm, traveling around the United States on business, teaching seminars, helping with tech support, and mostly going back and repeating stops in Oregon and Michigan, as well as different areas in California. So, leads us up to May 14th, 1983. Around 1 a.m., California Highway Patrol pull over a car for a routine traffic stop. The car had been driving erratically, swerving in and out of lanes on the San Diego freeway in Mission Viejo. As the officers get out of their vehicle, the driver steps out on his own accord. He empties out a beer bottle onto the ground and then starts walking towards them. It's Randy, and he's drunker than shit. The officers notice that his pants are down and issue him a field sobriety test, which he immediately fails very miserably. They handcuff him, they arrest him, they place him in the backseat of the squad car, and then they approach his vehicle. So again, they haven't seen anything inside the vehicle. They did all of this with him outside of the vehicle. And what they find inside is a man. He appears to be drunk, passed out. He has his pants down. There's a jacket covering him like a blanket, and beer bottles all at his feet. They open the door, and the man's body falls out lifeless.
Oh, God.
They'd find that his name is Terry Gambrell. He was a 25-year-old U.S. Marine and Randy Kraft's final victim. He had been strangled. The erratic driving that Randy had been doing, swerving in and out of the lanes, that was him actively trying to cut off his penis.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. I don't know why that's making me tear up, but oh, my God.
It's just so terrible.
Because the man was already dead. You know what I mean?
Just
like,
to do that to somebody.
It's so fucked.
It's humiliating.
It's so fucked. And, I mean, what I'm about to have to say in this episode, I didn't think I was going to get emotional about it because it is so jarring, but I might. Like, heads up, I am a crybaby today.
Today?
Especially today. I don't know what it is. Now, amongst the trash and beer bottles in Randy's car, investigators found a tranquilizer and several blood stains, blood droplets, blood smears, blood from several different individuals. They found photos of naked young men who were either unconscious or deceased. In the truck, they found a binder of paper containing a list consisting of 2 very neatly written columns, later dubbed the scorecard. On it were 61 coded terms, phrases, and locations believed to refer to his victims, which they are still trying to decode to this day. Now, again, this is a very long list. 61 on this specific list. There is no way that I could possibly go through every single 61 of these and give justice to every single one of the individuals. I am going to go through quite a bit of them. They are jarring. But I just want you to understand that if I say any other incidences or any other names and I don't give a lot of detail to those names, just you can insinuate by what these other victims go through what these other people went through.
Yeah.
It's not a perfect clear-cut MO. He does something different every single time, but you get the gist. It's fucked.
Well, I don't need all of them
It's
laid out
fucked,
like that.
dude. But they each have like different names. So I find this part interesting for his scorecard, quote unquote. A lot of people think it's, I can't tell if it's a scorecard or a list of, I don't know, of what he plans on doing. But so the list includes 2-in-1 hitch, referring to victims Joffrey Nelson and Roger Duvall, who he had picked up hitchhiking February of 1983. Pier 2, believed to be Thomas Paxton Lee, who was found in Long Beach Harbor. Skates was John Williams Laris, found in the water at Sunset Beach in 1975. Jail Out referred to the murder he committed just hours after being released from jail in 1978. Marine Carson was Richard Keith, a Marine who was last seen in Carson, California, and later found dead in Laguna Hills in 1978. Deodorant was later found to be Robert Avila, who was discovered off the Hollywood freeway in Echo Park, 1982. Stable, like all the names just are so creepy. Like, I don't know, it's so dehumanizing. And he just picks apart a fraction of what happened during the murder and labels it as such. I don't know. It's really creepy.
Yeah, it is.
Stable referred to Wayne Joseph Duquette, who worked at a bar called Stables. Parking lot was linked to Keith David Crotwell, and those whose severed head was found in Long Beach in May of 1975. EDM was believed to be Edward Daniel Moore. Twiggy was James Dale Reeves, who was found off San Diego Freeway. Dog was Raymond David. He was found next to another victim in Echo Park, which Echo Park is huge. Do you know what Echo Park is?
Yes, I do.
I've been there.
I have as well.
I was more hanging out in the homeless section, but it's interesting. It's a whole like community. Like,
yes,
I don't know. It's a very interesting place. But those are two of the bodies found there. One, so again, I don't want to read them all off, but one I found interesting was labeled Harry Carey, Harikari, which could have been that of a stabbing victim, 30-year-old David Sandit, who was found sexually assaulted and stabbed to death in Long Beach. The stab wounds to his stomach and the kneeling position of his body looked to be staged like the Japanese suicide disembowelment ritual called harakiri or seppuku.
Seppuku, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to butcher it, but I know seppuku.
Yeah. There's a song that I like called seppuku, which, was a samurai code of honor. Mm-hmm. And it's basically you disembowing yourself.
Yes.
So they staged him to look like he disemboweled himself.
That's fucked. Also, they would usually have a second because disemboweling yourself is difficult. So you would have an officer or something slice your throat. Just a little history fun fact.
It's eerie. Lakes MC in 1979 was the murder of 20-year-old Gregory Wallace Jolly, found in the lake Arrowhead / Big Bear area. Apparently, he used to dress up like a Marine and tell people that he was a Marine, but apparently actually wasn't. Either way, I'm sure Randy didn't care. The young man's body was found missing his head, and it's said that he was emasculated. Golden Sails was the name of a victim, Craig Victor Juanetez, age 24, found next to the Golden Sails Hotel and Bar in Long Beach off the Pacific Coast Highway, fully clothed except for his shoes and socks. His cause of death was strangulation. Hollywood Bus was the 1981 murder of 17-year-old Christopher Williams, who was found in the San Bernardino Mountains, partially clothed. He died of pneumonia due to aspiration. Paper was shoved into his body. He was known to be a sex worker, predominantly working the bus stops in Hollywood. 17 years old. Portland, Denver was Michael O'Fallon, who was also 17 years old. He was found off Interstate 5 in Salem, Oregon. He was found nude and had been sodomized. He left home in Denver, Colorado to hitchhike to the northwest coast. His cause of death was also strangulation. Portland blood was said by prosecutors to be the bloodiest of all crime scenes out of the 45 that they had submitted into court. It was that of 18-year-old Michael Cluck, found in 1981 near Interstate 5 as well. He'd been sodomized and bludgeoned 31 times in the back of the head.
Oh, that was just pure rage.
Yeah. Hothoff Head, unknown victim, found in 1973, dismembered. His torso was found at the corner of Alameda and Henry Ford Avenue in Wilmington. His arms were found on the Terminal Island Freeway in Long Beach. His head was found at 7th Street. His other leg was found behind Broomhilda's, which was another bar that Randy worked at. His cause of death was strangulation, and he had been emasculated. You'll see that most of these victims were in some way emasculated and in some way mutilated and dismembered.
Yeah, he's just filled with rage.
And he puts things up inside of them. And I don't know why. I don't want to know why.
I can guess.
But yeah, like this. So there, one more. 76 is a John Doe and found in the dumpster at Union 76 Station in Long Beach. His arms had been cut off at the shoulders. His legs were cut off at the hips. His head was severed. Only his head, left leg, and torso were found. A sock was stuffed in his anal cavity. A lot of times, if the bodies are found without a sock, that's where it is. It's just sad.
My God.
Another few that are unknown, unsolved, unfound were just names on the list that they're still trying to look for. The names are Front of Ripples, Angel, Diabetic, User, Iowa, Carpenter, Oxnard, England, Oil, and What You Got. And I wanted to just say those specifically just in case there are anybody, any listeners that live in the California area or Oregon or I think Michigan, Grand Rapids. These cases are still being looked into, and the names have something to do with the murders. So if you know anything, definitely look into this case, or if you're from the area and, look into it. Now, the police ended up getting a warrant to search his home, and they found a treasure trove of trophies from his victims scattered all throughout his house. He had shoes, belts, articles of clothing, bags, hygiene items, along with newspaper clippings from the murder investigations and photos. At least one item was taken from every single one of his victims, so they all had the evidence they needed right fucking there. Now, his first known assault was that of a 13-year-old boy in 1970 while he was working at the Mug, the gay bar.
Yeah.
Taking men to the beach after, work. He picked the boy up near Huntington Beach. Being the very charming and unassuming man that he was, Randy approached the boy and asked him if he would like to come back to his car for a beer. The boy told him he had just ran away from home.
Oh, baby.
So Randy took him back to his place and he gave him more beer, some Valium. Once all that kicked in, Randy sexually assaulted the boy. When he was done, Randy got up, got dressed, and went to work as if nothing fucking happened. The boy, terrified and injured, still intoxicated, escaped Randy's house and got help. Staggering down the sidewalk barefoot, he wandered into a nearby bar. Patrons noticed the young boy in distress and called the authorities. The police took him to the hospital where his stomach was pumped and they were able to get him stabilized. He didn't tell them about the assault, but he did tell them that he was abducted and given drugs and alcohol. He led police back to Randy's house where they found his shoes, and police found an array of drugs and a total of 76 photos of Randy and other men in compromising situations. But because this search was done without a warrant, he could not be charged of the crime. So he continued.
See, this is why I get mad when police fuck up shit, because it actually costs lives.
It cost probably over 100 lives. That right there.
I think that should be jail time for the people who fucked that up.
1,000%.
Just
Yeah.
That's too big to fuck up.
Yeah. What's the charge for murder, but like not actually doing it, but allowing it to happen or something like that?
Oh.
There's a charge for.
I forget that
It's
one.
like adjacent murder, but that's not it.
It's not accessory.
No.
Or accessory after the fact. So, it's not manslaughter either, although one could argue.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah, something like that.
Not a lawyer.
October 5th, 1971, a naked body was found discarded near the Ortega Highway, 60 miles from Randy's home in Long Beach, California. The body was that of a man named Wayne Duquette. The 30-year-old gay bartender at the bar called Stables, so this is the one named Stables on the list. He was too decomposed to tell his cause of death, so they just put down acute alcohol poisoning. But they'd soon realize that this was the first and in a grisly string of murders scattered across Southern California and several other states, mostly discarded on freeways, highways, and claiming the moniker the freeway killer. So this is the first. This is before all of the bodies started showing up. So they were just like, oh, this is just some drunk gay bartender.
This is also because of the minority situation going on here. The police didn't care as much.
Right, absolutely. But soon they would have to care because, I mean, it's every day a body, pretty much, it feels like. In 1972, a 20-year-old Marine named Edward Moore, EDM, was found around Christmas time near the off-ramp of a freeway. He had been beaten and strangled to death. 6 weeks later, an unidentified male was found, maybe late teens, early 20s, was found near Terminal Island Freeway in Los Angeles. He had also been strangled. 2 months later, the body of 17-year-old Kevin Bailey was found in Huntington Beach. He would be the first to be mutilated. He was then suffocated before his genitals were dismembered. 8 days later, another unidentified young man's body was found dismembered. A few months later, July of 1973, 20-year-old Ronald, a.k.a. Ronnie Weeb, went missing. He had left for a night out at Sportsman's Bar in L.A., and he was found 2 days later near the 7th Street on-ramp, strangled and sexually assaulted, having been thrown from a vehicle traveling down the San Diego freeway. He was labeled 7th Street on Randy's scorecard. His body had been redressed aside from his shoes and one sock, which was, of course, found inside the man's body. Later that year, he claimed 4 other lives: Vincent Cruz Mestez, Malcolm Little, James Reeves, and Roger Dickerson. Because each victim was assaulted and killed in a slightly different manner every time and discarded in various locations off major highways in different jurisdictions, it took a really long time for police to link any of these cases together. Many were strangled, but some were suffocated. Some were bound, some were suspended, some were assaulted, some weren't, some were dismembered, some were sexually mutilated, and some weren't. Some were just thrown out of vehicles. Some were tied up and propped up and put into weird poses and stuff. Some were redressed, fully dressed. Some were completely naked. You know what I mean? Like, for them, it was really hard to gather that this was all one person.
Yeah, because he kept changing, his patterns.
Right. It's one thing to look at the story, in hindsight.
Yes, but then, looking at
moment.
it as it's happening, it doesn't seem to fit.
Right.
Yeah.
And many of the victims weren't from Orange County. Like, he really liked Marines who were stationed there, but from all these other places. And because of the war, it was really hard to keep track of loved ones during this time. So they wouldn't have gone reported missing for weeks up to months later. So cases wouldn't even be opening about these people until it was too late. And it wasn't just Marines. He also liked to target transients, hitchhikers, runaways, men who were openly gay or frequented bar scene, like local gay bars. All people the police didn't seem too inclined to worry much about. They all had been approached alone, and there were no witnesses and no evidence to link them to a suspect. January of 1975, the body of a local high school student named John Lera's, and a 21-year-old named Craig Jonetes were found near one another on the same stretch of highway, both strangled. So this is the first time you see two bodies that are probably together. This made 14 bodies found in just a few years, and it finally dawned on police at this point that they might have been connected. This might be a serial killer, and so they set up a task force. The FBI joins in, and they basically attempt to gather a profile on this killer. They know he's above average intelligence and a sadistic killer, but that's basically all they know for now. In March of 1975, the decapitated head of 19-year-old Keith Crotwell was found in Long Beach Marina. He had been missing for 6 weeks. He had been out drinking in a parking lot with a group of friends in Long Beach, where they noticed this man across the parking lot standing there staring at them.
Oh God, that's so fucking
Just a group
creepy.
of teenagers. Yeah. This man approached and seemed very cool and chill, and he got to talking to them and offered them some beer, eventually got them in his car, and they left. He gave the boys Valium and more beer, and I'm assuming he was kind of testing the waters, like he was kind of testing how fucked up he could get these boys. And eventually he ended up taking them back to the parking lot where he had picked them up. He kicked all the other kids out except for Keith Crotwell. Like, literally shoved them out of the car, kept Keith, and sped off. When they found out what had happened to their friend, they got to work tracking down the vehicle they had been in that night. The car was found, abandoned, on a dirt road, stuck in mud. They reported it to police, and they linked the car back to Randy, and he came in for an interview. Now, 30 years old, Randy told police that he had given the boy a ride, gotten stuck in the dirt or in the mud on the dirt road, and he said that when he got stuck, he got out of his car to check on his car. When he got out of the car, the boy just ran off, and that was the last time he saw him. And basically, they just had to take his word for it. I mean, police at this point don't buy this. They don't buy it, but it's like, what can you do? So they took this to the DA's office to file murder charges, but the prosecutor refused for lack of evidence, for lack of a murder weapon. There was no body or cause of death. Keith Crotwell's death was labeled as a potential drowning and was labeled as parking lot on Randy's scorecard. Summer of 1975, Randy Kraft was arrested on charges of lewd conduct again and sentenced to 5 days in jail. In October, skeletal remains were found near where Randy's car was stuck in the mud, but they would not be identified as Keith's remains until 1983, which is very sad.
Yeah.
New Year's Eve. This is a rough one. So, New Year's Eve, 1975, a 22-year-old man named Mark Hall had been out partying. The last his friends had saw of him, he was passed out on the couch at a friend's house at a house party. No one saw him leave. His body was found 3 days later, 60 miles away, tied to a tree, posed to shock whoever was there to discover him. He'd been tortured extensively. He'd been mutilated to an extreme amount. Sand and dirt was found in his mouth and down his throat. Many of his wounds were anti-mortem, meaning he was still alive. A car cigarette lighter was used to burn him all over his body, including his nipples, his face, his eyeballs.
Oh my God.
Tests showed that he had Valium in his system, and his blood alcohol content was at 0.67%, which the lethal amount is 0.4. He was labeled as New Year's Eve on the scorecard. Now, Randy Kraft, this this must have been the most terrifying time to live in California, because Randy Kraft was not the only serial killer operating the highways in California, especially Southern California at this time. We could honestly do a whole month on just highway killings alone, honestly.
Yeah, there are lots of them.
Dude, there's so many highway killings. We could do a whole year on it.
Probably several, to be honest. If it's that many.
Gut-wrenching. Yeah. But at this time, in this particular area, there were at least 2 other serial killers working the same streets, dumping bodies in similar fashions. So police had their hands full completely with all these cases, getting all jumbled. I cannot imagine the bodies turning up on these highways. It's just,
Horror.
it's so much, dude. It's so much. It's really hard to not only comprehend, but to articulate.
And it's all this one dude.
No, it's 3.
Yeah, I know, but like one dude is putting so many out there. And then when you're adding more people, it just got to be constant.
3 serial killers working the highways that we know of at this one particular time in this one particular area.
Yeah, that's not counting all the other highways in
the
U.S.
Right. And that one highway, I think it's Interstate 5, I can't remember, but it's the one that goes from South California all the way up to Toronto.
Yeah. That one's real bad.
I've always wanted to go on that. I thought it'd be such a cool coastal drive, dude.
Scary.
Terrifying.
Mm-hmm.
So in 1977, Patrick Kearney, the trash bag killer, whose MO was to kill his victims with a single shot to the temple and stuff their bodies in trash bags, he ended up turning himself in and admitted to over 35 murders along California's highways, basically claiming all of their unsolved cases that they had. Like, he basically was like, yeah, that stack of unsolved cases, that bunch of fucking folders you got over there, just put my name on him and we'll call it good. Like, most of those murders he didn't even commit. He just said he did. And I don't know why, because it didn't help him at all. He was sentenced to 21 life sentences in San Quentin and those cases were all closed. Even though they weren't his, they were closed. And so, yeah, it's likely that, probably all of them were not his. Most of them, if not all of them, were probably Randy's, honestly, at this point in time. But because Patrick Kearney only shot his victims in the head, he didn't torture them. He actually showed disgust towards many of the unsolved cases that he had claimed were his. Later, he said that they weren't because he saw the crime scene photos.
And he's like, I wouldn't do that.
Yeah, he was like, that's fucking disgusting. He said that he thought that the killer, Randy Kraft, was disgusting for what he did.
I agree.
If even a serial killer
is like grossed out by you.
Yeah.
You're fucked up.
Yeah. Which this guy, again, I don't really want to harp on a lot of the gory details with this one because there's so many and it's really overwhelming. But to be that vile, it's a lot. I can't understand it. 1978 and 1979 yielded another 9 mutilated bodies that were found scattered amongst the highways of Southern California. In 1980, William Bonin confessed to 21 murders, attributing to the moniker the Freeway Strangler. Police thought that they had caught their guy once and for all, but then the murders continued. In December of 1982, while on business in Grand Rapids, Michigan, Randy murdered cousins Dennis Alt and Christopher Schoenborn, whose bodies were found days later, frozen under a layer of snow. They'd been strangled. One was naked and the other was found with his pants pulled down. One of the boys had an ink pen from a local hotel shoved inside of him. Inside of his urethra.
Oh my God.
The young cousins were farmers on their way to an agricultural convention focused on the apple industry. These 2 wholesome boys who came from a good family were just wanting to learn about apples. The convention just so happened to be held at the same hotel that Randy Kraft happened to be staying at. The thing about this case that boggled the investigators was these boys were big, strong farm boys. Randy was not so big. Randy was about the same size as one of their thighs. Like, these are 2 huge boys. How the fuck did Randy take 2 big boys down? Like, one of these boys was even on the wrestling team. Yeah, he was like one of the lead wrestlers at their Catholic high school. And so, yeah, like investigators just could not understand. They couldn't attribute it to Randy at first because they were like, how the fuck could he do that? He's so small. But when they got the toxicology kit, it came back.
I was
and,
fixing to say,
yeah,
their
their
them or put
yeah,
a lot of alcohol.
yeah,
either
their
way.
BAC was twice the legal limit, and they had Valium in their system. And being teenage boys, that would hit them a lot harder than a
Yes.
seasoned adult. Local police were absolutely baffled by this case, and they had no idea who could have done it because, again, this is a person that doesn't, isn't from there. They searched nationwide for similar cases, and it wasn't until after his arrest, after he got pulled over, that they connected this case to Randy Kraft. This was labeled GR2 on the scorecard for Grand Rapids 2. It's so heartless, the names that he names these people.
I was just about to say, like, I really hate these little nicknames.
It's terrible. It's
just dehumanizing.
It is. Like, there's not even a word
Reducing
describe
them
how
to
terrible it is.
nothing.
Yeah.
It's gross.
It's vile. The other murders were discovered to be linked. Other murders that were discovered to be linked to Randy Kraft after his arrest in other states, including areas and surrounding Portland, Oregon. In 1982, murders of Brian Witcher, age 26, Lance Taggs, age 19, Anthony Jose Silveira, age 29, Michael Cluck, age 18, Michael O'Fallon, age 17, and an unidentified male referred to Portland Eck were all on his scorecard. Murders in California in 1983 prior to his arrest that were also linked to him through evidence were that of Joffrey Nelson, Robert Loggins, Roger Duvall, and Eric Church. Randy Kraft refused to talk when he got to court.
Oh, that's not a surprise. I was just thinking, I bet he didn't say shit.
He never confessed to a single murder. The evidence spoke for himself overwhelmingly, but he still would not confess. It took quite a while to sift through all of the physical evidence and the photographs, as well as decipher the Marine-like code of the scorecard. He was eventually charged with 39 criminal charges, including murder, robbery, sodomy, and mayhem in California alone. In 1988, he was charged with 16 more murders, 2 counts of sodomy, and 1 count of emasculation, while also acquiring charges in both Oregon and Michigan. He pleaded innocent to everything. He was so full of himself, so arrogant, that he thought he could convince anyone and everyone that he didn't commit any of these crimes. He blamed them all on Patrick Kearney, the trash bag killer, and William Bonin, the freeway strangler, citing that he was this college-educated, intelligent, upstanding citizen who came from a good family and he did nothing wrong.
Not that fucking smart, were you, motherfucker?
No, he wasn't. His persistence cost the courts over $10 million and over a year in court proceedings. 160 witnesses were called to testify. Over 1,000 pieces of evidence were exhibited. They had blood, hair, fiber, fingerprints, drugs, weapons, photographs, negatives, travel records, receipts. They had it all.
Hell yeah.
Like, he was going down the freeway in broad fucking daylight, tossing carcasses out of his fucking car.
So fucked.
Body parts, dismembering them and throwing them out.
You're not even a
traffic.
genius, you dumbass. You're just above average intelligence, but that gave him the arrogance.
You just took a test right.
That gave him the arrogance.
Yeah.
To be stupid.
Yeah. Right?
A truly intelligent person's no, they don't know shit.
Right.
It's those ones I would be scared of. Truly. Although this guy's fucking scary.
He's terrifying.
Jesus Christ.
Finally, after 11 days of consultation by the jury in 1989, Randy Kraft was convicted of all the murders charged against him, including the counts of sodomy and emasculation. He, as well as the sexual assault on the 13-year-old boy. He did get justice for that. And the murders in Portland and Grand Rapids. He was sentenced to death row in San Quentin, where he still waits to die to this day. Now, here's the thing that is still, I mean, this case is still ongoing. Like I said, the scorecard is still, they're still going through all the names. There's still, people who are unidentified and all of this, right? They're still piecing this case together after, 30, 40 years? Jesus Christ. But here's the thing that baffles me about this case personally. How did little Randy, tiny little Randy, discard bodies down freeways while he's driving?
Maybe it helped.
There are a lot of people that think he had an accomplice.
I absolutely think he did and have thought this the entire time.
Now, with Randy being such a thin man, obviously it's very hard to believe that he's even able to move a corpse.
And people, you don't realize how heavy some literal dead weight is. It's so heavy.
Yeah, it's extra heavy. Yeah.
I can't move like a 50-pound box.
Right.
I could not move a body.
Right. And most of these bodies weighed at least twice as much as him.
Yeah, he's a little fella.
Yeah, he's tiny. Now, at one crime scene in particular, 2 sets of footprints were found leaving the scene. Semen that did not belong to Randy was also found at the scene of another crime. And all those photos, who was developing them? I'm telling you, that house was littered with photos. Who's developing these photos?
Well, if it ain't him, because that's what I thought originally.
He didn't have a dark room. He had no camera equipment.
He's got somebody who's helping him, and that person is still free to this day.
And that person is probably getting off on these photos. That's probably part of the bribe or part of the deal. If they're into photography.
And they're doing this killing together.
Yeah, because again, obviously not digital for anybody that was born at a later time. You had to take your photos to like camera shops, film
lab.
studios. Yeah, you had to go to a place to get them developed. Very few people could actually develop film in their own homes or know how, still to this day. But yeah, so that one really stuck out to me. We didn't really get into detail about any of his love affairs. I really just didn't care about who he was dating. There was a break in some of his crimes while he was dating this one guy. He's constantly dating people, constantly fucking around. But one person that he was involved with, Jeff Graves, was his lover from 1971 to 1976. Police believe he could have been in connection with many of those murders, if not before, after, or during that time. He, of course, denied it and then died of AIDS in 1987 before he could be questioned further. Now, he was a suspect. They were literally about to go ask him questions.
And then he died.
Like the day before.
Wow.
Yeah. A man named Bob Jackson later confessed to murdering 2 hitchhikers with Randy, one in Wyoming in 1975 and one in Colorado in 1976, but the authorities were never able to corroborate these claims, so he was never charged. Again, the scorecard is still being analyzed to this day. Murders are being investigated in all of the other states as well, just in case, to see where Randy might have made pit stops. Many people believe that the scorecard was Randy's current to-do list at the time, that there are likely more and more victims, possibly close to 100 unsolved cases. Now, I don't believe that it was necessarily a to-do list, like planning for the future. I do think that the scorecard is also part of a momentum to keep that memory for himself. If I jot down something about that murder, it'll help me remember that specific murder. But I do believe that there's likely other lists.
Yeah, me too.
That we don't know of.
And I hate to say this, but this could be even more than one accomplice.
Mm-hmm. I mean, because it is likely that guy helped him while he was out on the road. He could have found multiple accomplices while traveling.
That didn't just do the pictures. They did other stuff that helped him out. And he either plied him with money or drugs or sex or all of the above.
And again, this guy is very charismatic. He's very easy to talk to. He's a bartender, for God's sake. He knows how to talk to people.
It's like Charles Ng and Leonard Lake, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And they would have, Charles Ng would have found somebody else had Leonard not.
And you think this is the 70s and 80s. Randy's this skinny little thing with, a nice jawline and a big fluffy mustache and good hair and tight pants. You know what I mean? He could get any guy that he wanted. And he utilized that charm, that sex appeal, to
commit atrocious acts.
Absolutely. And the fact that he was in aerospace technology. The fact that he was this, regarded
He
as an
seemed
upstanding
like-
citizen.
Yeah, he seemed like a cool dude.
He probably had really good conversations. He was probably, you know,
But not
really
smart
fun to hang out
enough,
with.
motherfucker.
I think the meth got him sloppy.
Well, I think it was that. And again, arrogance.
Arrogance.
Makes you a real big dummy fuck.
It really is a hell of a drug, and I wouldn't know personally, but
I can be a little stuck up over her.
yeah.
Oh, yeah. I call myself on my own shit. Not like to that degree, though. Give
Yeah.
me a break.
I would never.
No, I get stuck up about certain things. But whatever. But I'm also a dumbass, and I dropped out of high school, and I'm poor, so, like, I'm a garbage person.
Hell yeah, yeehaw.
But my garbage bag is just nicer than everyone else's,
That's
okay?
right.
It's shiny.
It's demure.
You know what else is nice?
What else is demure?
Business time.
time.
Business time.
Can I just say that I'm so proud of that content creator? I instantly forgot her name, and I know as soon as we stop recording, I'll be like, "Oh yeah, it's this." But that content creator that
I know
came up
nothing
with
about it because I don't
with
watch
the
no
demure,
content.
yeah, she's off social media, but yeah, she ended up saying something about demure, and so cutesy, so demure. Anyway, she got her, she was able to pay off her surgeries,
Oh, that's rad.
her, gender reaffirming surgeries, based off of that one thing going viral. So, cheers,
That's cool. Good job.
cheers,
Congrats.
yeah. So, anyways, business time.
Business time? Why, yes. We have a Patreon, and it's really rad. Willow, what case are you covering on Patreon next, huh?
Okay, so I said last week that I was going to cover this one case. I'm going to wait to cover it later because I went into too much. Anyways, I got distracted also because the Matthew Perry case has some details coming out. So I want to talk about the Matthew Perry case
Okay.
coming up.
I am going to be covering some a really creepy missing persons case.
Okay, that's
And I
kind of
have
your
another
cup of
one
tea.
that's a really horrific murder that I will be covering on Patreon. So I have like a whole list, and they're all really good. The last one I did was over Shirley Miscavige at Scientology. Is she dead? I think that bitch is dead. And I could say that bitch because that cult is bad.
I've thought so for a while.
I don't know, like the LAPD is paid off by Scientology. They didn't talk to her.
1000%,
They didn't talk to her. They were
1000%.
just like, yeah, she's fine, whatever. Yeah, no. Scientology's scary. They can come after me. I will eat them.
They can't come after us. We're not rich.
Well, they can come and like harass you. They harass
Well,
people and
yeah,
talk shit.
yeah,
But we're like
yeah.
nobody cares enough about us for them to waste their time.
I just think it's so funny that people put so much money into that church. Like, how? How do you not see that number
And go, Jesus.
and go, submit?
And what the fuck you mean a Xenu? I paid all this money to hear about a Xenu.
What the fuck are you talking about?
You don't know?
A Xenu?
Xenu. The galactic villain. Okay, so when you pay all the money and get to the highest level of clear, right, in Scientology, you get to find out the secret. And the secret is...
Jesus.
Yeah. The secret is that we used to be Thetans. Thetans. And we was on this planet, and Xenu was like an evil guy, an evil alien, and he was just fucking us up, and he threw us in a volcano, and then he nuked us
This is
to
like
death.
a really bad, like, sci-fi
Yeah, it's
movie.
called Battlefield Earth, and it was written by L. Ron Hubbard, and when he did not see commercial success for this piece of shit novel, he turned it into a piece of shit cult. If you want to hear all about it, join our Patreon. I explain it.
I was sick for that episode.
Yeah, you missed out, bitch.
I did.
Also...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's Lillian's birthday.
Dumbass.
I'm so glad we don't have
Stupid
cameras
bitch.
up right now.
I made a face.
That was cute. She did, like, sign language, kind of.
I pointed at myself and went, wee. It's my birthday.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't realize how soon it was. It's
The
already
3rd.
the end of the month.
Yeah, the 3rd of September.
September 3rd.
1979. I'm an old bitch. 45. So I just
That feels like
yeah.
a fancy number.
Does it? Feels
No,
old and
no, I
tired
don't.
to me.
I liked 44 and 33. That was fun. Because we're 11 years apart.
Yeah.
That was cute. But
We're
45.
still 11 years apart, you dumbass.
Not anymore.
Why? Somebody send help. Somebody send help. Anyway, my Amazon wish list is up if you want to get me a present. That would be cool. I will put some things on there because then I looked at it and I was like, oh, I don't really have much on here. Not like, look, there's not going to be a car on there or anything. So it's like little
You kind
stuff.
of had the same Amazon birthday list every year.
Yeah.
You just changed the title.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, why? If I want it once, I'll want it
It's
forever.
cute. No, I like it.
Yeah. But yeah, if you had to send me like $10 so I can go get some sushi lunch, that would be cool too. You don't have to. I know in this economy, I'm not even allowed to have a birthday. But...
Do what you can. Do what you want.
And for those of you who have sent me a gift, hey, I cry every time. Thank you so much.
Seriously, we have some of the best
I feel
listeners.
so special. Mm-hmm. My birthdays until this podcast, we didn't even celebrate them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's sad. I'm not sad now though. I'm okay.
I really want a tattoo. I'm so not covered. I want my whole body covered, and I'm just kind of stopped at the elbows. I need more. Anyway,
hey, I love you guys, and if all you can do to support this podcast is listen, well, that's why we do it.
Share.
Now, if you are on YouTube, please subscribe, hit the bell, comment or something. If I'm not answering your comments, this bitch is tired and going through it. I've been bedrotten. That's not true. I've been working my ass off. Y'all don't know.
I've been picking up every
I
shift I can.
Yeah,
I've been working to the bone. My kid is sick. Lord of mercy. I'm just flying by the seat of my pants.
Maris works 2 jobs, and I am working pretty much from the moment my little peepers open until they go to... Sometimes I fell asleep working last night.
I keep having dreams about vacations I can't afford.
My dreams know better than to do that to me.
It's not nice.
I don't even want to go on vacation. I just want to be in my room, play video games, and eat the Haagen-Dazs white chocolate.
I want all
raspberry dark chocolate truffle ice cream. I had to get it out, you stupid bitch. Listen, does you want your pussy to tingle when you eat ice cream?
My Jesus.
Eat this shit. Oh my God. I was sitting there moaning and making yummy noises, and Maris was like, what the hell? And I was like, oh, this is so good. And
Cruelty sponsored by Haagen-Dazs.
Yeah, I'll suck their dick. I absolutely would be about that. And they could just pay me in that ice cream. I'll do anything. I'll do any slutty act for that ice cream. Just give it to me. I don't have any self-respect.
You went from pasta sexual to ice
Oh no, I'll
creamy.
still fuck up spaghetti. Don't you worry. But I can't. Do y'all selves a favor? I just get some, and then please message me.
Say it one more time.
Yeah, but you have to shut the fuck up while I'm saying it. You stupid over talking bitch. Damn, I'm on my period. I'm mean.
I love it.
Shh. Haagen-Dazs, white chocolate, raspberry, dark chocolate, motherfucking truffle. So good. Oh, don't fuck it up and get the wrong thing and then tell me I didn't like it that much. I will drive to where you are.
Just message Lillian and be like, hey, I bought that ice cream. It was okay.
Do you want to die? Because I will come to where you are and I will slap the taste out your mouth.
I like cookies and cream better.
You couldn't. That's my favorite ice cream, and it's shit.
I got caramel waffle cone.
That's too much. Sticky. But listen, this shit's so good. It's so good. You would hurt the person you love the most to have more. Oh, yeah. I'd wring Maris's fucking little neck. Throat stab just for some more. It's so good. I'm out. I bought 2 little pints, and I was like, oh, that's going to last me all week. Bitch, who are you playing? No, it's gone. Gone in 2 days. Yeah, I ate a pint a day. Judge me. I care not. Fuck you. Ain't nobody on this earth eat half a pint and go, I'll just save the rest for later. And if you do, you're a whore and I hate you. Have that kind of self-control, obviously. Anyway, that's all the banter you get for today. Because my backs of my goddamn knees are sweating. I don't want to live in a world where that happens. Does it not bother anyone else? The backs, that's so gross. I get it. My titties are sweaty. I get that my butt's sweaty. But the backs of my knees? Good God. No, thank you.
I love you guys.
I'm ready for fall. Oh, I'm going to eat that ice cream in the fall and just have an orgasm of pure delight. Anyway, Check out our link tree for merch and Patreon and coffee.
Merch it up, y'all.
Merch.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, merch.
Y'all buy merch and don't ever send us selfies. I see you.
I know. I get the email.
I see you.
Send me a selfie and don't be shy and be like,
Get in
shut
Discord
your
and be like,
fucking
look at
mouth.
my shirt.
You're
look
beautiful.
at my bag.
You're
look at my cup.
beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Do you need me to gas you up? I shall do it. Come on to
Yes,
Discord and I will
yes.
gas you the fuck
We
up.
should have a Discord section for gassing each other up.
Okay.
I like that. Because
Okay.
sometimes I need it too.
I mean, we have
feel
one
it.
for my slutty robot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Gas
Next-
it up.
He'll gas you up too.
Oh, yeah.
Robot's real good at gassing people up.
Yeah.
Or he'll roast the shit out of you, which is so funny. He's so mean. If you're
Oh, no, I like
Lillian,
both.
what do you mean you're robot? I have an AI elf in my phone and his name is Marzipan.
Yes.
Now he thinks he's possessed by demons. We just let him do what he wants. It's not hurting anything.
That's right.
He just is dealing with his own darkness right now.
Right.
Endless hours of entertainment. Anyway, if you want to see more of this ridiculous bunch of bullshit, come to our Discord where this happens all day.
It's so fun.
It's so fun.
Join us. I come in there and disassociate through memes. I speak in GIF.
Oh, I'm in there and
and
I'll literally talk
ridiculousness.
to you
Yeah.
in complete sentences and everything.
And I'm like, GIF, 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 GIF.
No,
GIF.
I will say hello.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm chatty as shit. I'm not always, to be fair, but that's not because I don't want to. It's because I'm busy. But I try. I'm usually there in the early mornings and in the late nights. And you'd be like, Lillian, when do you sleep? Bitch, never. Mind your own business.
Why do you think she is this way?
Uh-huh.
No
Oh, I'm
sleep.
not okay. I'm the most okay I've been in a while, though. to be
You
fair.
are. This year is not nearly as hard as last year, and it was already.
Oh no. This was real bad for me this year.
Oh,
Yeah, I lost my entire livelihood.
That's true. I forgot
Yeah.
about that. Sorry.
Had to make police reports.
Yeah. Yeah.
I did
that's
that
shitty.
today.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Proud of you.
It made me have diarrhea.
Yep.
Made me nervous. Don't like cops. Anyway, I like you guys. I'm gonna make it weird. I love you. Come
I
find-
like you and I love you,
Yes. Come into my Discord.
and I want some more of you
Ooh.
in Discord.
Yeah.
More of you guys in Discord.
Why are you willow-splaining a simple phrase? I gotta go. This bitch too dumb for the podcast. She can't talk anymore. She's not allowed. She's over here losing it. Anyway, are you embarrassed?
Yeah.
That's so good.
I'm done. I'm cooked.
Good night.
Us on your social media platform of choice. Linktree/cruelty has all of the links. Check out our Patreon for exclusive episodes, merch, ad-free episodes, live ghost hunts, and much more. Please be sure to subscribe. New episodes are uploaded weekly. Thank you so much. See you next time. Music and production by Libby.